Radio Raheem with the undefeated, undisputed, unified middleweight champion of the world, Claressa Shields. We're here in Atlantic City the morning after making history, not just in women's boxing, but in boxing. It seems like, looking back just 10 years ago, and I've been covering the sport longer than that a day like this was unfathomable. Like, it's not something that anybody would have thought that women would be at the forefront of boxing like they are right now, and certainly that I would be sitting here with a unified middleweight champion, and that would matter, right? I'm curious, first off, how did you start boxing, knowing, like, if you're 24 now, when you were a kid, what would a young woman think she could get out of becoming a fighter?
It's so crazy. So, at the age of 11, I started boxing for one reason. I wanted to box for my dad. I wanted him to live some of his life through me. My dad had been in prison, and when he told me his passion was boxing, I was like, I'm a box for my dad because I love my dad that much. Where I was like, I just want to do it for him. I didn't know that I would love boxing. I knew I liked fighting, but I didn't know I would love boxing though. And when I started, I remember the first day I walked in the gym and I saw these guys in the ring sparring, and I was like, I can do that. Like, I bet I could do that. And it was just the first thought I had, but I didn't know that boxing would be so hard, like the training and everything. But it's like, I got used to it. I enjoyed the hard work. And even though I didn't have any female role models growing up to be a boxer, it was always something in my heart that made me just want to fight, want to box, want to get better, want to get stronger, want to get faster, and just compete. And then when the opportunity came for the Olympics, I was like, all right, I'm going to the Olympics. And then I won the Olympics. And then 2016, I went again. And then after that, I'm like, what can I do because I found out about, the professional boxing. I said, what can I do to help women's boxing? I was like, maybe another Olympic gold medal, maybe turning professional. But then I was just weighing my options. I'm like, why do they consider Laila Ali the best female fighter in the world? And that was because she was professional. She fought without headgear. She fought 10 rounds. She was knocking girls out. And I was like, that's what I got to do. And I turned pro.
You talk about, like, Laila Ali, and there are women who came before you. It's not like this is the beginning of women's boxing. Right. But even Christy Martin, Laila Ali, and Wolf, these ladies all made their mark. But even then, boxing was still seen, women's boxing was like a sideshow. It was like an event thing. Ali had the Ali name, and then the coal miner's daughter with Christy Martin, and, so forth. What was the atmosphere like as a young woman going to it had to be a male-dominated boxing gym? I know the attitudes today are still like, what are these chicks doing in here? This is not serious. Oh, I don't like women's boxing, this kind of thing. They shouldn't be doing it. What was the atmosphere like for you as a young woman in such a male-driven, not just sport, but atmosphere every day in a boxing gym?
I've always been the greatest. Every time I went to a tournament, when I fought, if it was, let's say the ring side, it was 6 rings going at one time. Whenever I fought, everybody ran from whatever ring they was at to watch me fight. I've always been a woman who they wanted to see fight. I've always been known as a great fighter. I was the best fighter in my gym. After about 2 years of boxing, I was the best fighter in my gym. And I've always been, looked at as a good fighter, regardless of gender. I sparred guys growing up. I sparred guys from different states, different countries, and they're just like, yo, this girl, I've always been a great fighter. So just growing up, it's kind of how my life is now. All the attention, all the eyes, all the critics, that's been my whole life. I remember my first fight, I remember my 4th boxing match when my dad first came to see me fight. I was 13. I fought against a girl named Chloe Kimsey. And she was 5-0 with 4 knockouts. And her mom said, is that the girl you fighting? And she looked at me and she said, yeah, that's her. And I was sitting there talking with my dad. And then a girl mom says, and what you gonna do to her? She was like, I'm gonna knock her out. And I looked at my dad, and I think my face probably turned cold because I just got so mad. And my dad was like, baby, you okay? I was like, I'm about to go get dressed. He was like, you okay? I'm like, And I went, and I was, 13, and I went and put on my clothes, And I mean, I'll beat her up. I beat that girl up so bad. And I mean, after the fight, my dad was crying. I'm 13. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, you just the best damn fighter ever. and that's how my life has been. Like, I've always been told I was the best. I've always wanted to be the best and train hard. And I've always been like a person you wanted to see in the ring fighting. Always. It's always been like that.
Well, I see GWOAT on all the clothing here. You're constantly saying that you're the greatest woman of all time. You know, like we said, there are other fights that have come before you. Even Christy Martin was in the ring last night before the fight began. I know Laila Ali has made comments earlier in your career. Have you had any support from these women, Ann Wolfe, or, anyone that came before you? Do you have a relationship with these former champions, former women boxers?
So it's so weird. Like, at the beginning, Laila Ali was like Team Claressa Shields. And then she went on the Breakfast Club, and she gave me some props on there. But at the same time, during her Breakfast Club interview, she said if she was to come out of retirement, wasn't no girl good enough to give her a challenge. And I took that as being offensive after you just gave me a shout out and you just said we fight the same weight. And after that, it's kind of been like no support from her. Christy Martin has been, she's cool. I really haven't heard much from Ann Wolfe, but Ann Wolfe was one of my favorite female fighters. Like, I think that when I look at myself fight, I see some of me. I see some of her in me. And then with Lucia Riker, she's just humble, beautiful lady. I mean, she loves me, Lucia Riker. So, I mean, I can understand where some of the animosity comes from, but Joe Louis, was it Joe Louis? No, Sugar Ray Robinson was not mad at Muhammad Ali for saying he was the GOAT. He wasn't mad at him. He embraced him, and he told him, young man, if that's what you think, if you think you're the greatest of all time, even though you look up to me, well, you got to go out there and do it. And, but instead, these women kind of get, upset and try to think that I'm dissing them. When it's not I'm dissing them, I'm really praising myself, to be honest. Like, I'm the one in the gym training. I'm the one fighting against girls 24-0 with 11 knockouts when I'm only 8-0 with 2 knockouts. And that's what greatness is to me. It's not it's not a knock to them, but they just take it to be offensive. But that, I don't care.
Well, I guess in Laila Ali's case, the greatest is going to be something that she wants to carry, not just as an athlete, but legacy-wise. But it's interesting you bring up she's would be in the same weight division you. She said that if she came back, nobody could contest her.
Yeah.
If forget about coming back, that's probably a too high a hurdle. But in her prime, how would that fight go?
I would have beat her. I think she was strong and everything, and she was tall, but I feel like my speed and my skills could have beat her. And the thing is, I'm way more stronger than what girls give me credit for. That's why Christina Hammer had a lot of problems last night. But I think I definitely could have beat her, and I definitely would have put the pressure on her because I'm the shorter fighter. I would have went to her body, and from what I've seen from Laila Ali fights, when she gets when a girl is being aggressive against her, her formation folds, and she has a beautiful formation. I mean, her jab and everything is just like her father's. But once you start being aggressive on her, she kind of start welling and putting her head down and kind of closing her eyes a little bit. I don't close my eyes when I see a punch coming. It either hits me or I'm getting the hell out the way. But with that, I think that would have been a great fight. And, too bad I'm only 24 and she's about 40 now.
In women's boxing, there have been some shining moments. All the women we've named have had their moments in the spotlight and things that brought attention to the sport. But what escaped them and escaped the era, I think, was a super fight. We couldn't get Christy Martin and Lucia Riker. We couldn't get Ann Wolfe and Laila Ali. But we did get Claressa Shields and Christina Hammer. Do you feel like now that that fight has happened, it's going to be difficult to match that moment? Is a rematch the only thing that could bring that kind of attention back or redouble that kind of notoriety in the sport? Where do you go from here? Look, we got a stack of gold over here. It kind of begs the question, what next?
I said me fighting against Cecilia Brock is the only other woman that's undisputed. She comes up one and I go down another. And I say another because I started at 168. And people have to realize, fighting at 168, I walk around at about 175, 180. So I came down to 68, fight 68. Now I fight 160. to go down another weight class is really more harmful to me than it is for Cecilia Brækhus to come up, which, I mean, she needs to be given a little advantage because I'm the one, I guess I'm bigger. But she has the experience. She has the undisputed title. She's been around, forever. So I think that would be the next big super fight. But we also have girls like Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, which is another big super fight. We have girls at 168. I think Franchon Cruz versus Alicia Napoleon is another super fight. It's just about who really wants to get behind these women and put something behind them. Like DAZN is putting something behind, Katie and Amanda. But for Alicia and Franchon, they have to figure out who they're going to have promote them, because if you promote the fights, you're going to see it's so much depth in women's boxing. Like, these girls have, attitudes. They got character. They can fight. All our training is different, but we all have that same passion of we want to kick a girl's ass. So whoever wants to get behind that and give that a push, I think it'd be the $1 Million Man. And I feel like me and Cecilia Brækhus would definitely be. I feel like that's a pay-per-view fight. 2 women undisputed. You don't even get 2 men undisputed fighting anymore. But 2 women, women's boxing have a lot of catching up to do. We already had a big undisputed fight. Now let's have undisputed versus undisputed. Then after that, the other girls who building themselves up, I guess just fight our mandatories until somebody else come up who have a big, following like we have, and just make it like that. All the guys fights who are great fighters, they don't fight top fights all the time. Errol Spence fought against a guy. He knocked him out in the first round at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, which I was like, damn. But still, they don't always have super fights. But women, we have a lot of catching up to do.
I noticed that the Olympic class ladies seem to be pretty close. As you would expect, you guys, train together. You were on a team. Some of you continued into the pros together. Michaela Mayer was ringside last night. I saw some of the amateur girls there as well. And I noticed that the support between you guys is something that's public, and you guys seem to enjoy it. But you also support the men. I see you at as many male fights as any other fighter. You seem to be traveling to support these guys, everything like that. And I was surprised at last night, and credit to Demetrius Andrade, he was ringside. But a lot of these other champions and guys who you've been out to see their fights weren't there last night. Did that bother you at all? How do you why do you feel like they didn't show up last night to support this fight?
Well, John Jones had caught the flu, so he's excused, but Errol Spence is not excused. Adrian Broner is not excused. Terrence Crawford is excused because he fights next week. Shakur is also excused because he fights next week. Deontay Wilder, I believe he should have been there. But, to all those guys, they all gave me shout-outs on social media, and they probably helped with the viewership that we're going to get, and they gave me shout-outs, and I appreciate that. But it's always great to have that in-person support, and Errol Spence promised me that he would walk me out for my fight, so I don't know why he couldn't come or why he didn't show up, but I just really didn't think about it. At the same time, women's boxing, I feel like I'm the biggest woman fighter. I had a lot of people come out to see me, a lot of NFL players. We had NBA players in the building. We had, like I said, the Olympic team come, and I'm happy with that. And I'm just happy that the place was packed. All my fans came. I was looking out, and I was like, damn, it's not an empty seat up in here. So that made me happy to know that I can sell out this huge venue and that people are coming. And not only are they coming to the fight, but they're watching the fight. And I know everybody watched. From Andre Ward, he personally texted me and said, hey, a lot of business stuff going on, can't make it. But he tried. The fact is that he tried to make it, but he hit me up on social media. He texted me. And, I had a FaceTime with Terrence Crawford earlier today, just telling me, he was like, I told you you could do it. And, you were so calm and relaxed. So, it all means a lot. But I would like for them to be there. But I can't. When I go to these people fight, I buy my own ticket and I buy my own flight. I get my own room every time. Any fight that I've been to, from Deontay Wilder to Adrian Broner, and we were so mad after the Adrian Broner fight with Pacquiao. Oh my God! But I go to all their fights I feel like they give me motivation when I go see them fight. You know, win, lose, or draw. I go there and I support, and I feel like they give me motivation to keep doing what I'm doing, because I'm like, they getting paid millions of dollars for this. I want to get to that point. So me seeing them in person makes me feel like I can get there, especially Terrence Crawford. I mean, he's one of the most technical fighters I've been able to see in person. And when I see him box, I'm like, that's what people be talking about they want me to do. I see him do it, I'm just like, I kind of can do it, but I don't know.
Well, you know, to that point, a lot of people thought that you were just a really aggressive but wild fighter. Yeah. You couldn't settle down. You say what they wanted to see you do. They wanted to see you show boxing acumen, show skill, show defense. And it didn't appear like you really needed to do it, but you know how boxing fans are. They'll critique everything, and that was a major knock on you. Did you feel like you had like a secret in your back pocket, like you knew you could do that and other people didn't recognize it? You just explain to me why we haven't seen that kind of sharp boxing technique up until last night.
I don't say I'm the greatest woman of all time for no reason. I know how to box. I got head movement. I can counter. I mean, I've been knowing, like, really, people that know I can do this stuff is people that go back and just watch 2012 Olympics, watch 2016 Olympics. That's where you see it. Like, I wasn't even strong as those girls back then. Nowhere near as tall as them. How did I beat them? It wasn't just, being aggressive. You can't just be aggressive in women's boxing and win a fight. I know how to box. I was making girls miss who was 6'4" and 6'2". They was throwing them long jabs at me. I was like, swoop, swoop, swoop. You know, so I know I could do that, and I've already told everybody I'm only going to use what I have to use in the fight. I'm not going to show you everything in the fight that I don't have to. The fight with Hannah Gabriels, I didn't have to do that. Like I said, she got the knockdown, but other than that, I was pretty much comfortable. I landed when I wanted to. I wanted to fight unanimous decision. Same thing with Christina Hammer. Like, I knew look, we give her respect. We knew she had a good jab. We knew she was a good boxer. So it's like, what do you do with somebody who has a good jab? In my mind, I know what I need to do. You slip the jab, you parry the jab, you counter off the jab, and then after that, you got to get into your own rhythm. So when she was jabbing, sometimes she jabbed me, I jab her back. You're not about to control me. I know how to win a fight. I know how to box. I don't know why people think I'm not skilled, but if a girl's going to get out there and stand in front of me and want to go toe-to-toe, I'm going to beat her ass, period. You got to make me box. If you don't make me think and box, you try to stand there and go toe-to-toe with me, you be asleep. And Christina Hammer tried it, and she almost went to sleep. You cannot stand there with me. Nobody can. If it comes to punching power, speed, accuracy, you better figure out a game plan. I knew, in my mind, I said, there's only one way Christina Hammer can even think she can beat me. And her game plan has to be jab and move. And that's the feint the jab, hit me, and then get away. I'm like, if she's staying there, she going to sleep. But even if she try to get away, I'm cutting the ring off. I'm stalking her. I'm moving my head. I'm letting her know, you can jab all you want to, but I'm still going to be right here. I could do that. I know what I'm doing, man.
Game plan is something that every fighter needs. Yeah. And like you said, some people are just like, whatever style you want to fight, I'll fight you. I'll beat you that way. But no matter what you're able to do, if you don't have a good camp, if your relationship with your trainer is not solid, you're not listening, these kind of things, the best of fighters would have the worst of nights. Yeah. And just maybe a year ago, I remember us having a conversation at the Barclay on camera about you having to change trainers because your trainer didn't want to follow you to Florida and you didn't want to take the camp. And it was a bit emotional even. And now you got John David Jackson. Obviously, this relationship is working. Was that something of a blessing in disguise? How do you feel about that transition into a new trainer, and what's the situation now?
Had to be a blessing in disguise, because I was actually disappointed about having to switch trainers, and I thought that once me and my former trainer got back together, we'd be together forever, and we keep training and win all these titles together. And just having to make that switch, I was disappointed, and I felt like, it was kind of hard because I had so many fights coming up, and it was like, I don't even have time to be sad about this. I don't have time to, all I have time to do is find me another coach. And I'm very picky about coaches, because some coaches want you to box different. Some have never watched you box, and some just don't respect women's boxing, and they don't want you to train, or they they don't think I have to train hard because of my resume, when it's like, dude, 2 Olympic gold medals or not, I gotta get in the gym. I gotta work. And they got some trainers who be like, oh, you fighting this girl? She ain't nothing. Just come to the gym an hour, then you can leave. And I'm like, no, I need to be here 2 or 3 hours working on this, that, and that. And with Coach John, I was just watching him do pads, and I had watched some footage of him. And like I said, I had studied him for a minute. I was just looking. And we did pass about 2 or 3 days, and I asked him, I said, so what do you think I need to do to be a better fighter? And I already know my answer. So I wanted to see, was his answer remotely close, or was it just a total different direction? Because it was a total different direction. I was going to be like, peace out. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. Clarissa, you can fight. You know, like, he's like, I give you a lot of respect. You train, you listen. He's like, only thing I want you to do is slow your punches down. You so fast. He said, I want you to slow them down. Be more precise and accurate with your punches. He said, relax. You so uptight sometimes because you want to protect yourself and be sharp. He said, relax. When you relax, because he seen sometime when I was in the gym sparring against these men, I dropped my hands and moved my head. He didn't know I could do that. So he's like, I want more of that from you. And then he just was like, and then keep that dog. You know, he was like, other than that, I ain't got nothing else I want to work with you with. I want to make sure you place your punches right. And when everything he said, I said, yeah, you're right about on the money. Only thing you didn't say is that I want to be faster and I want to get stronger. So that's just something that's just in me. But he was like, you're already fast, you're already strong. So I shouldn't have said it. So, you know, me and Coach John, you know, we just meshing. Oh, this camp, you know, he's not overbearing. Like, I'm like self-motivated 24/7. So when I go to the gym in the morning, I like to be by myself. You know, like even when my boyfriend come to the Planet Fitness with me, he go to a different treadmill. He gonna do his own thing because he know I'm gonna be over here doing my own thing. We don't need to do the same workout, this little couple workouts that they be doing on Instagram. I gotta do my own shit. I'm getting ready for a fight. You trying to get in shape. We getting ready for 2 different things. So he may do, you know, a 3-mile jog, and I'm doing freaking sprints for 5 miles. So, you know, it's different. So we was like, you know, you do your thing, I do my thing. We had kind of mixed it where we like, okay, well, let's do some crunches together here and there. But other than that, I'm really self-motivated and like my alone time and like that time to push myself, because in the ring, no matter what nobody is yelling to you or what they're saying, you have to be the one to tell yourself, you got one more sprint, your damn legs hurt, you don't want to do this last sprint. Who gonna make you do the sprint? Coach John can't make me do it. LJ can't make me do it. I got to tell myself, girl, you got one more sprint. You better not leave this workout without doing this sprint. Whatever you got to do to get this last sprint in, you got to do it. And in my mind, control my body, I'm like, do the goddamn sprint. You know, do it. Don't leave this workout without doing it. So I never cut myself short. And with Coach John, he let me do my thing. When we go to the gym, I mean, it was days where I was looking at Coach John like, what is wrong with you? Like, you losing your fucking mind. Because we do 10 rounds on the bag, and then he like, pads. I'm like, we just did 10 rounds. Then we doing 10 more rounds on the pads. Then we doing crunches. Then we doing push-ups. And I'm just like, I came here to do 10 rounds today. That's what I came here for. You know, so I'm kind of upset. But just the fact that I pushed myself so much, and now that he's pushing me, just all that extra always helps. And I told him, he understands. I want to get faster. I want to get stronger. I want to get knockouts. And we work on that. And like I said, I get closer and closer every fight. I don't care what nobody say. I knocked out Christina Hammer 8th round. I knocked her out. I don't care. I don't care. The fight was over.
Well, that fight could have had 1 more minute to it if women's boxing had 3-minute rounds.
Hello?
You could have had 2 more rounds to get there if women's boxing had 12 rounds for champions like men. No. What is it that you think prohibits the sport from just allowing women and men to compete on equal footing? Obviously not fight each other, although we're going to get to you fighting men in the gym. That's wild too. But as a professional, why not just 3 minutes, 12 rounds, just like the men, and keep it moving?
I think there's a lot of sexism that goes on in boxing. I think they look at that they need to protect us. And like I said, I heard one of the guys from WBC convention say, we protect the women from themselves. And I don't need you to protect me. I'm the one chose boxing. And you don't protect the men, because if you did protect them, they'll be going 2 minutes too. Because that's what prevents knockouts, is the less timing. I think that in order for us to get equal pay and everything, we need to go 3 minutes, 12 rounds. We're not incapable of doing that. In the amateurs, the girls go 3 3-minute rounds like the men now. It used to be 4 2-minute rounds, but they changed it to the same as the men. So if they can do it in the amateurs, they need to do it in the pros. I think that they keep saying that they did tests back in the day and women are weaker than men, duh, but we're fighting against other women. So the rounds need to be 3 minutes, 12 rounds. In MMA, championship rounds, the same as the men for the women. So I don't know why it hasn't been changed, but I'm definitely an advocate for it now. And I just feel like if they're not going to give us the 3 minutes and a 12 rounds, at least give us 12 rounds, 2 minutes. That's the only compromise that I can give, because they actually offered this fight. I was asked if I wanted to go 12 rounds with Christina Hammer for this title fight, and I said yes. She said no. She doesn't want to go 12 rounds, and I think that's because of her training, or she's not in shape. I don't know, but she didn't want to do it. But I was all for it. I just didn't go public with it because I was like, well, hell, they're like, if she agrees, you guys will go 12. But if she doesn't, you're going to go 10, 2 minutes. I was like, look, whatever. Just know I'm in the gym getting ready for whatever. Whatever you guys bring back to me. And she said no. So that's why we went 10 rounds. But if we would have went 12, I'll be 9-0 with 3 knockouts.
When someone puts the moniker greatest on themselves, especially in boxing, it, as you said, even feeling like an advocate for some changes, some equality in women's boxing, requires that in a way you transcend the sport if you're going to be the greatest. Are there other issues in boxing or outside the ring, outside the sport even, that you feel like this platform, this notoriety, this spotlight that you have can help you push forward things that changes you want to make or influences you want to have?
Outside of boxing or in
Or
boxing?
either.
Well, outside of boxing, I just want to keep pushing for Flint to get clean water. That's why I wear my hair blue when I fight, and I always speak about the water crisis and just letting the world know that you have an undisputed American champion from Flint, Michigan, the city that has dirty water. What are you going to do about it? I think that they should, I don't care who do something. If it's Trump, if it's the government, whoever, somebody needs to get off their high horse and realize that we're all human beings and we all deserve, if we all don't deserve anything, we deserve clean water. We deserve to have a regular life. We deserve to have police protecting our community, and we deserve to have cameras in our city to record all these killings. Like, people talking about the water crisis, but Flint has went through so many murders. We're ranked number 6 as most dangerous countries. At once upon a time, a couple years ago, we was ranked number 1. That's where I'm from. So now we're ranked number 6. Dirty water. Still this murder stuff going on. Not enough police to protect and serve. What? Why is my question. Why is it like this? It's like this is like no other city in America. Why can't this be fixed? And who do we have to talk to, or do we have to do it ourselves? And we have to do it ourselves. How the hell do we do that? So that's what I'm a big advocate for. And just with boxing, I just want it to be equal. I want it to be so easy for the girls coming up. Like, if you never boxed a day in your life and you decide, you know what, I've been street fighting my whole life. Let me go make some money. If you turn pro and turn your life around, you should be able to work your way up to the rankings and be able to one day, if you're good enough, to fight for $1 million, to fight a world champion, to fight on TV. You should be able to work your way up just like the men. So I'm trying to build a blueprint, because honestly, there is no blueprint to this. There is. I mean, when I turned professional, I just was like, what do I do? Who do I talk to? I'm like, I don't know nothing. I'm going in here blind. And now that I'm learning everything, but it's still just like the blueprint now of those girls start at 0 has to get built. Like, I started kind of in the middle. Now we have to build at the 0. So there have to be a lot of girls are going to turn pro after 2020. A lot of amateur girls, and that's where the 0s start at. And then you be able to work their way up to the middle, then be at the top. So I'm trying to build a platform to where they be like, oh, we can talk to this promoter. We can do this. We can do that. We can bring our resume, and this promoter will want to get behind us. I want it to not be so hard to where people, where girls who fight at 130 go and sit with somebody, and whoever they're interviewing with or whoever they're talking to, they ask them, do you think you can beat Claressa Shields? She's at 130. Like, at least sit with somebody who knows what you're about. I sat with somebody and they asked me, so you telling me if I was to bet $1 million that you could beat Heather Hardy? And this is when I turned pro, and I'm sitting here looking at this man like, I'm about to leave because you disrespectful now. And it's not disrespectful to the point of that Heather Hardy can't fight, but it's the fact of I'm 168, she 130. Have you ever even seen me fight while I'm sitting here wasting my time talking to you? And then I've been to the Olympics twice. Heather Hardy has not. So Heather Hardy is the only boxer you know. And you asking me if I was to fight her and you was to bet $1 million. Like, what you talking about? I'm out of here. I'm out.
Well, one place that you haven't been out of is Flint, which is, an admirable thing because a lot of people, I would say most people, had never heard of Flint, Michigan until the water crisis. They were like, where? And that's what defines that city. It has to have been rough growing up there, climbing your way out of poverty and continuing to pursue a dream that would change your lifestyle, change the kind of creature comforts you can provide yourself. But your family's still there. You're still from there. What is it like being in that community now? How has all of this changed your life when you go home and are around the people that you've grown up with and known your whole life?
I'm just happy that I can bring hope back to my city. When they talk to me, everybody's like, we have so much bad news. You're our good news. Every time I get ready for a fight, every time a fight is announced, every time I'm in the media doing something on a show, everybody is so excited and they feel like they could be in that same position. Not just boxers, but from rappers to singers to people who dance, everybody, like, you give us hope. Even though we're going through so much here, we know that you grew up on these same streets and that you made the right decisions for your life. So we know that we can do that for ours. And when I go back, it's nothing but love in Flint. I go to the store, they announce me on a freaking loudspeaker. I freaking hate that, but they do it. I take pictures, I sign autographs. I have girls and guys walk up to me and rap their lyrics or sing their songs to me, and I be recording them and post it on my page and stuff. And just with that, like, everybody look at me like I don't really have a lot of enemies, I can say, in Flint. Like, everybody's super protective. And anywhere I go, they're like, yeah, don't nobody mess with her. Even though nobody wants to, I don't have, like, people who want to get at me. Everybody is kind of like, we love her, she love us, we all Flint. So, no, when I go back home, it's like I never left. But still, the pictures and the autographs and stuff is a lot sometimes. Especially trying to go to the store late at night. I'm in my little clothes, trying to go in there and grab my stuff and get out. And everybody's like, oh, there go Claressa. And they want pictures and stuff. And I got to keep my hair done 24/7.
Well, you seem to be building a bridge from that community all the way into Hollywood, like the heart of Hollywood. I saw that Halle Berry tweeted you out last night. And Rosie Perez is a huge supporter of yours. These kind of women that have done things in Hollywood and done things, other than sports, are now giving accolades and acknowledgement to you. What does that feel like? Do you have relationships like that outside of the boxing community? How does that influence you?
It's so weird. So with social media being the way it is, I have, like, a lot of relationships with people, and it's strange because some people I've never seen in person, but you just kind of feel the connection of people through the internet, and that's how me and Chris Cyborg became friends. I met Halle in person. Then after that, she just been, social media. She texts me. She texted me last night she texts me every round, like, 5th round, you kicking her ass. And, like, Halle Berry was sending me every round. And I was like, thank you for the round by round. Yeah. So, I have a lot of relationship with a lot of people. From Deontay Wilder, who I barely see him, but when I do see him, it's nothing but love and respect. Out of boxing, it's a lot of people. Fresher, the rapper, Fresher, he inboxes me, told me good luck. T Grizzly inboxed me, saw the baby. All these rappers, like, and actors now. Nia Long followed me. Oh my God. I was like, what the hold up? Let me go to her page and see if this her for real. And I clicked on there and I said, oh my God. I said, don't freak out. Don't freak out. Keep your player face on. But just to begin, all that support shows me that I'm growing. You know, that I am getting bigger and people do recognize me. So I'm happy with all of it. And even Tasha Smith, she inboxed me, the one with the twin sister. I didn't know she had a twin sister last year, but Tasha, she inboxed me like, oh my God, congrats, and was texting me before the fight like, girl, kick her ass. I'm following you. I'm a fan. I just found out about you. And that's the thing. I just found out about you. Kevin Hart, he hasn't inboxed me yet, but he sent messages through Hino. So that's fine. And then comedian Lil Rel, Tiffany Haddish. I wonder if she commented on the post yet. It's been so many notifications, but I inboxed Tiffany Haddish and met her at the fights, and I feel like me and her are like twin cousins or something. It's so weird. But it feels great to get that support. It just shows me once again that I'm getting bigger. I'm becoming a big star that I want to become. And it's just all in God's timing. So I'm just sitting back and relaxing. But I told everybody, it's getting close to that time to where I'm going to have security guards for me and Elliot to go to the grocery store.
You might be their security guards.
That's what they say.
You are definitely, I think there's no argument to be made. You are the face of women's boxing right now. You have definitely made another step towards being the GOAT as you define yourself by any standard. What you did last night is history making. It's a huge, huge thing, not just in women's boxing, but in boxing. Yep. So those people who may just for the first time have heard your name or seen you last night or just finding out this morning that, hey, there's something they missed last night and they're going to find out who this Claressa Shields is. Is there one particular thing that you would like to define you? One thing that you want to come to people's mind when they hear your name?
I just want them to know that I'm a strong woman, strong God-fearing woman. That's it. You know, my boxing skills are great. I'm a great person. I'm a tenacious fighter, but I want them to know overall, like, I am the definition of a strong woman. Like, it's not about, people always say a strong woman from when I grew up is soft spoken and, classy and, she's silent in a room that's so loud but she makes her voice be heard somehow. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And it's like, women can be outspoken. Women can be confident. Women can have muscles and actually, like, listen, a girl with no muscles, I'm not going to say she's not a strong woman, but she not strong, if you know what I mean. Like, she's not Serena Williams. She's not Claressa Shields. So people are so intimidated by, actually being black and being proud and having muscles. And it's like, we are still strong women. Don't try to make us seem like we're not a strong woman and that something is wrong with us. We are strong women. Like, just because we actually have muscles and we speak a little louder than usual and we have confidence abundantly and believe in ourselves, that's another version of a strong woman. And then you have those strong women that are quiet, petite, no muscles, who just can get the job done with just mouth. But then you have those girls who can get the job done with action, and that's myself. That's Serena Williams. That's Venus Williams. That's some other great athletes that I know who are black with some armor.
Guns.
With some guns, right, with some armor, you know what I'm saying?
Well, congratulations on last night's history-making performance. Thank you for your efforts and your dedication to the sport. Radio Raheem with the strong, God-fearing, undefeated, unified, undisputed, middleweight champion of the world, Claressa Shields.